Your brand sales surpassed $1 million on Amazon. Congrats, but you just hit the hardest growth phase on Amazon. Out of 440,000 brands, only 1.6% make it past $10 million. So that means 98.4% of brands stay stuck under the 8-figure mark. And if you don't fix these 6 problems, you'll also stay stuck there forever. My name is Jasim. I'm the CEO and founder of Voadera. We've sold hundreds of millions of dollars on online marketplaces like Amazon.com. And in this video, I'm going to go over the 6 reasons brands get stuck and how we get past them. Not enough specialists. This is one of the most common reasons I see. I see a lot of brands, they have a couple people on the team, a general manager, or maybe a creative person or innovator that started the product. But once they get past the $1 million range, you have to understand that to get to that stage, you're competing with lower level people. Now, once you're getting into $3-4 million people, you're competing with full-time people on Amazon. They have people doing each vertical, each aspect with a full-time specialist. Just one example, on our team, right, we have a catalog specialist. This person, we have a couple of them actually, but they're seeing specific issues on a daily basis. One very quick example is general ledger and browse nodes, right? Certain products, there was a certain product that got de-indexed. Before the brand came to us, it would get de-indexed. They would take almost weeks to fix it. They'd open a seller support case. They just had a general manager managing Amazon. He didn't know any better, obviously. It's not his specialty. Or even the marketing person a lot of times is doing this. It's not his specialty. So he opens a case, escalation, etc., etc. When it came to us and we had this adult indexing issue, obviously the sales for this product was selling $10,000 a week. When it gets de-indexed, it goes down to around $600-700. Our catalog specialist has seen this issue dozens of times. It's a certain code field. When you open the case, you have to use certain words. They fill that in. Legitimately gets fixed within a couple hours. So this attack became less prevalent on the brand. And that's just one example. You can go into for another one is you have certain people specialized for DSP versus regular ads, or AMC, for example. The more specialized you get people, the better they are. You have Anchor, billion-dollar companies. You think they have generalists handling things? Well, it's even supply chain. For example, we have a logistics manager overseeing the inbound placement fees, measuring how much it is for 2026 now that it's going up. A general person that just handles shipping or warehouse manager, he's not going to see all these nuances or demand forecasting or planning because they don't see the issue as often. But someone that lives in the area, they read the news specifically about logistics, supply chain, whatever that vertical is, they're going to continuously see the same problems, and they're going to become very, very good at that one thing compared to someone who's a little bit good at everything else. And in turn, that little bit good is not going to be able to be someone that's very good in a specific area. Prioritization and addressing the current bottleneck. This is actually one of the most common ones I see. I see brands that they don't know their data, so they're attacking things that are not the current issue. So a quick example of a brand that came to work with us, right? They were focusing on the bullet points of the listing to make sure the listing conveys the message. But the issue was their title didn't differentiate them appropriately, and so did their main image. They didn't pop out the screen, none of that. But they were working on the bullet points and even working a little bit on the video. But we obviously looked at their funnel and we seen that there was a lagging issue with their CTR compared to the rest of the basically what we're used to for a benchmark for that category. Theirs was at 1.6%. The category average is at 3.4%. So no one was even getting a chance to see their bullet points and conversion. But they were spending weeks. Oh, let's go to the video. Actually, let's see the bullet points, or let's see the premium A+ content. That's not the issue right there. The current bottleneck is a CTR. So we put a little bit of focus into the CTR, we wanted to get something out quick, like within hours. And the title, we revamped it. We put the UVP in the beginning. It was basically organic, and we knew customer avatar cared about that we basically talked to the brand about it. So we made sure we put that in the beginning, not in the bullet points, because if they don't click and listen, they're never going to see that in bullet points. And never mind, bullet points, even on the phone, it's all the way at the bottom, so it's not even that important. So we made sure we added it right in the beginning. So then when they pressed, then we got people pressing on it. Now that we have people pressing on it, then the bottleneck became conversion. Yes, we look at videos, we look at premium A+ content, editing that. But we have to address the proper constraint at the right time. And that has to do, another example is like we had a product, it was like basically ice packs, it was in that category, and we noticed our AOV was around $20 to $30, and we couldn't afford to do a lot of advertising with that issue. We noticed that a lot of times the AOV of our competitors, it was almost double or triple us, and they could outbeat us on ads. And the way that they were doing this is they were targeting businesses, right? And that's what we started doing. So we started adding multi-pack discounts, business pricing. We started doing case packs, case bundles, all this kind of stuff. It brought our AOV up by 40 or 50%. So this is a huge, huge aspect of making sure you have the data. You're looking at your constraints. For example, if your CVR is high and your CTR is high, and your impressions are low, then you put your effort into advertising. So understanding where your funnel is. I talk about the 4 growth levers in a video. Make sure to attach the end of the screen, end of the video, and attach a link in the description. But that's where I talk about the 4 levers and which one is usually the constraint for growth and all that kind of stuff. But just understanding where you are. Another quick example of a constraint, like you're focusing on optimizing listing, but you're not in stock all the time. So that what are you doing? You're wasting your time. If you're not in stock, you're not going to sell anything. So focus on your supply chain and getting that right. So it's multifaceted. Another one I mentioned is indexing, right? If you have an adult keyword, you're not indexing. What are you doing fixing the listing? You're not even indexing anyways. You're not showing up anywhere. So fix that current constraint, the bottleneck, rather than like a lot of people are just putting out fires or putting out stories. Oh, my competitor did this. Let me go do that. Or they added this for Father's Day or whatever. Like, you have to understand what your current constraint is and what you need to be compared to the industry and compared to yourself and what you're used to, and understanding how that all fits together. If you found this valuable so far, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications just to continuously reveal the tactics that we're doing. Advertising and efficiency. When you graduate to the next stage, now you're becoming more competitive for ads. Everything is getting harder. You have to be more focused, more specific. And at this stage, you have to get out of just using basic sponsored product. Yes, set that up first. That's, again, we talked about prioritization. You don't want to set up DSP if you don't have sponsored product, right? That's just to the previous point. But you have to get outside of that now. You have to get at least into the other basic ones: sponsored brand video, sponsored headline, etc. And then you also want to get a little bit even more advanced using AMC to create certain audiences. You want to start using DSP as you get more and more advanced. You don't want to rely on the basics. And within that, even if we are talking about sponsored product, we don't want to just run auto broad phrase exact campaigns. We have to start single keyword campaigns, ranking on specific keyword groups. What is it going to take to win on a specific keyword group? Aligning that with the creative, aligning that with the SEO, making sure that all of it fits in together. And that's a huge component of making sure that your advertising is efficient, is making sure that it's aligned, right? And I talk about this in my 10 PPC mistakes that I see, and you can go watch that video as well, and I'll try to link it on the video too. Poor distribution. This is a quick one. Basically, as brands get bigger, the brand becomes more attractive. Maybe they're in retail channels, maybe they're on Shopify, they're on a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. They start having improper distribution, and people are going to start wanting your product, which is a good thing, but then resellers also become attracted to your product. You have eyes on your listing. You're going to start losing the featured offer or buy box, as it was known. So make sure that whenever someone is placing a PO, they're contacting your website, don't get excited. Research them. Are they really a retail brick and mortar mom and pop shop? Are they just going to buy it and send it back to your Amazon? And then when you're working with a distributor, do you have a contract with them to make sure that none of the people they sell to end up on Amazon? Is there clauses? We always work with our partners. We had one partner, they were getting bigger and bigger very quick. They got excited. They seen POs come in from on their website, and turns out they were just Amazon resellers coming back on listing. And then even worse, they weren't able to run sponsored product, the most efficient advertising form we see, because they don't own the featured offer or buy box. So you're not allowed. So they had to wait for them to end and then start again. And a lot of people think that you could take off. No, America, the law protects them. There's a first sale doctrine, obviously. But then the other part is that Amazon likes people to come in and wants the lowest price on their platform. So these resellers are coming in, they're undercutting you. Amazon's excited. So yeah, just have to make sure that you're the most invested person in your brand, and making sure that you're protecting. And that, like I said, mentioned, we have a full video on brand hijackers and what to do there, but that's something that you have to be very wary of at this stage. Product roadmap. This is one that we see very, very often. We see brands, they develop a very innovative hero product. They get to the stage, it's selling really well. They think they're doing development by adding variations, like adding sizes and colors and whatever and packs. That's not really product development. Yeah, that's good. We like to have at least 4 variations on a listing to make the shopper feel like they're shopping, but it's not true product development. You're not building a brand. At this stage, you have to understand your ICP and develop products accordingly. So one example that we had is we had a pet, like a pet toy type of product, right? And they had a certain product that was very unique. It blew up. But now that product blew up, we encouraged the brand and we worked with them to gather data on the market and to understand their ICP really well. We knew that they produced quality products. What's something adjacent? What's something upstream, downstream, that the customer that bought this for their pet, right? For example, this is used at certain days of the week. What's other days of the week they can use when they go on a picnic, for example, and all that kind of stuff. So we work with the brand to develop more products, because the truth is the fastest way for growth is good product development. This is not just throwing anything on Amazon. That doesn't work. You have to do surveys, tests, but it all starts with understanding your target audience and the market, and developing products accordingly, pumping out a certain line of products every so often, and continuing to extend your catalog and portfolio. Even the best hero product maybe of all time, where is it at? The iPhone, right? So iPhone, Steve Jobs, he didn't just stick there. He developed, back in his days, he's developed, I forgot what it's called, the small thing in your phone, 1,000 songs or whatever. But then the iMac and all this kind of stuff, even though they had $1 billion perhaps hero product, but that's an example of product development, and that's an example of becoming an established brand rather than just kind of having your hero shot right there. Being too Amazon centric. This is one of the biggest ones. This is on two aspects. I'll get into both actually. So part A of this is marketing. So only using Amazon marketing, whether it's DSP, which is better now, or it's just the basic AMS, Amazon Marketing Services, right? The 4 that I mentioned earlier. You have to be more creative. You have an ad budget. Let's say the finance team gives you 15%. You look at Google, Meta, right? Especially where your customer lives. And now a big one is obviously TikTok influencers, right? So seeing where spreading the advertising budget across numerous platforms rather than relying on one platform, seeing how it performs best. Usually Amazon's going to perform a little bit better, but there's a point of diminishing returns. And we've seen this with a brand, for example. They had a 15% marketing budget, 15% tacos, right? We encourage them to only do 10% on Amazon, the 5% to start testing it around. And lo and behold, their product was very TikTokable, it was kind of cool, all that kind of stuff, and exploded there. So we obviously directed more budget towards that, but that's what comes with testing and seeing where it is. If, for example, whatever, it's Google search product, right? Part B of this is the sales channel side of thing, relying on only Amazon US as a marketplace. You have to explore Amazon Canada. We just helped the brand actually launch into Amazon Canada, and they're selling more there than they are in the US, which is obviously rare. But this specific consumer was more presiding Canada. It's a colder weather type of thing. It's people in Canada use it more frequently. And then you have obviously adjacent marketplace, even in the US, Walmart, Target, certain products do really well there. If your product is a low price competition, then Walmart is good. But having a presence on those, not thinking Amazon US is the end all be all. Yes, for the majority of brands, even with this expansion, it's still going to be maybe 90% of revenue. But that 10% is not anything. If you're at 10 million mark, that's $1 million off of Amazon. And that's like usually the minimum threshold, or let's say the average, but a lot of times it could be much more. You obviously have Amazon UK and you have international marketplaces. Like one example, we're talking to a brand, they do household accessories items, and they were based out of the Netherlands, and they said that, I think it's bol.com, bold.com or something like that, 50% of their sales or 52% of their sales were off that marketplace, because it's a very niche, some people look for it there. That's not common, but just an example. Breaking through the plateau of 7 figures is not easy. There's only 7,000 brands doing it out of the 440,000, but obviously it is possible. And we've worked with brands, helped brands do it. You can obviously come to Voadera.com and check us out if you want to help, but the point is you have to have the mindset that you can prioritize the 6 things that I mentioned here. If you found this video helpful, like I said, I'll link the videos that I mentioned earlier about the 4 growth levers and the other one as well. And make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.